The Galactic Council chamber was designed to break wills before words were ever spoken. Carved into the hollowed core of a captured moon, it existed at the intersection of spectacle and threat. Artificial stars burned across the vaulted ceiling. Gravity wells shifted subtly, pressing weaker species to their knees while stronger ones sat comfortably upright, an unspoken reminder of rank. The floor itself pulsed faintly, alive with adaptive alloys tuned to record every footstep, every tremor of fear. Ambassador Elias Crow stood alone at the center. No podium. No chair. No allies. Just a human, older, gray at the temples, face carved with the quiet scars of decades spent negotiating with species that preferred conquest to compromise. His hands were clasped behind his back, posture relaxed in a way that annoyed the watching masses far more than defiance ever could. The gravity was set at 1.7 standard. Not lethal. Just humiliating. Crow felt it in his knees, his spine, the slow, grinding protest of muscles pushed past comfort. He tasted iron as a capillary burst in his sinuses. He did not move. Across the chamber, the Speaker of the Galactic Council rose. The Threxian was a towering thing of chitin and eyes, its voice amplified through layers of resonant technology until it shook the air itself. Ambassador Elias Crow of Earth, the Speaker intoned. You stand before this council accused of violating Containment Accord 17, illegal expansion beyond your assigned gravity well, unauthorized military development, and cultural destabilization of council-aligned regions. Crow lifted his chin slightly. That's a long way of saying we survived, he replied. A ripple of sound rolled through the chamber, hisses, clicks, low growls. Several species flashed threat colors. One of the older war empires laughed openly. The Speaker's eyes narrowed. You were warned, human. Your world was catalogued as primitive. Your species classified as volatile. Earth was to remain isolated until such time as you could be managed. Crow smiled faintly. We have a complicated relationship with management. Holographic projectors flared to life around him. Images filled the air, human ships escorting refugee convoys through pirate-controlled sectors. Human marines fighting back-to-back with alien militias. Council-aligned warlords lying dead in the aftermath of conflicts they were supposed to win easily. Your species interfered in conflicts beyond your mandate. The Speaker continued. You armed the weak. You disrupted the balance. Crow's smile faded. Balance, he repeated quietly. That word comes up a lot in this room. The gravity increased another fraction. A deliberate squeeze. On the outer rings, council delegates watched closely. Some with satisfaction. Others with something closer to unease. Humans weren't supposed to endure like this. They weren't supposed to smile. You were summoned, the Speaker said, to receive judgment. Crow nodded once. I figured. A murmur ran through the chamber. That was not the response expected of a condemned species. The Speaker raised its limbs. The Council finds humanity. Crow interrupted. Before you finish that sentence, he said calmly, I request the right of final statement. The Speaker hesitated. Ancient law demanded it. Even now. Even for a species the Council intended to erase. Granted, the Speaker said at last. Make it brief. Crow took a slow breath. The pain was constant now, a hot pressure behind his eyes, a tremor in his legs he refused to acknowledge. He looked up, not at the Speaker, but at the thousands of watching species. You think we don't understand where we are, he said. You think we walked into this chamber blind. That we believed your talk of coexistence and shared futures. He gave a small, humorless chuckle. Humans don't survive by being optimistic. A few delegates shifted uncomfortably. We knew you were afraid of us the moment you discovered us. Crow continued. A species that evolved on a death world. High gravity. Unstable climate. Predators everywhere. A history so violent we invented rules just to slow ourselves down. The Speaker snarled. This is irrelevant. No, Crow said softly. This is the point. He straightened as much as the gravity allowed. You watched us crawl out of our atmosphere using chemical explosions and optimism. You assumed we'd burn ourselves out. That we'd collapse under our own contradictions. His eyes hardened. Instead, we learned. The holograms shifted, showing shipyards hidden inside asteroids, fleets buried in the dark between stars, human technology that looked crude on the surface but terrifying in application. You classified us as dangerous, Crow said. You were right. What you didn't understand is that danger doesn't always announce itself with claws. The speaker's voice dropped to a growl. Enough. Crow's lips twitched. On Earth, we have a saying. Don't kill the messenger unless you're ready for the message. The execution pylons rose from the floor. Energy gathered, screaming softly as space itself distorted around the weapons. Several delegates leaned forward eagerly. Others turned away. Crow felt the gravity drop, just slightly. A courtesy. He rolled his shoulders, standing straighter than physics should have allowed. You think this ends with me? He said. That by killing an envoy you send a warning? He looked directly at the speaker. All you're doing is confirming our worst assumptions. The pylons fired. White light swallowed him. For a fraction of a second, Elias Crow existed as pain, heat, and memory, of blue skies, of a daughter who smiled like her mother, of a planet that never stopped fighting to live. Then he was gone. The chamber erupted in sound, approval, triumph, relief. The speaker raised its limbs high. Let this execution stand as precedent. Humanity is hereby designated a hostile species. All Sol System assets are forfeit. Containment is lifted. Extermination authorized if necessary. The Council roared its assent. Far beyond the chamber, beyond the moon, beyond Council-controlled space, a quantum-entangled device embedded deep within Crow's spine finished its transmission. A single data packet reached Earth. Confirmation received. On a blue and green world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, ancient systems woke from deliberate sleep. Deep under mountains, red lights turned black. And humanity stopped pretending it was weak. Admiral Mara Kincaid stared at the blinking console like it had personally insulted her. The cup of coffee in her hand had gone cold hours ago, but she hadn't noticed. Now the screens around the Strategic Command bunker all went dark, and then one single message appeared in stark, bold letters. Envoy terminated. Confirmation received. No sound. No explanation. Only the oppressive hum of the bunker's emergency systems. She didn't flinch. Humans rarely did. Instead, she set the mug down slowly, like it might be a live grenade, and turned to the officers behind her. Veterans who had seen the Sol system nearly destroyed in silent wars, who had bled for humanity's survival when no one else noticed. Verification? She asked, calm but deliberate. A young technician swallowed. Quantum lock confirms. Ambassador Crow is gone. Silence, thick and suffocating, filled the room. Kincaid's eyes closed for a heartbeat. Then they snapped open, sharp and hard. Activate Annihilation protocol. The room froze. A few officers visibly recoiled. One of the generals, an old man whose knees had no business still carrying him, rasped. Ma'am, that protocol hasn't been used in a century. Exactly, Kincaid said, voice low, dangerous. That's why we're using it now. Across the planet, systems long hidden deep underground stirred to life. Shipyards that officially didn't exist slid open. Black fleets disengaged from moons, asteroids, and the void between stars. At the edge of Sol, the dreadnought Pale Horse powered up its spine weapon for the first time in 80 years. Its silhouette was jagged, industrial, terrifying, a walking declaration of vengeance. Meanwhile, Council patrols on the fringe of human-claimed space began to die silently. Communications reported ships failing mid-transit. Crews were found frozen in their seats, nervous systems fried by electromagnetic pulses tuned to frequencies no alien technology could anticipate. No explosions. No struggle. Just the eerie, unnatural quiet of sudden death. An emergency session of the Galactic Council erupted in panic. This is impossible! The speaker shrieked. Humans cannot project force this far. A junior analyst hesitated, almost choking on his words. Exalted One, they're not projecting force. They're already here. The chamber went cold. Then the voice came, calm, controlled, and unmistakably human. This is Admiral Kincaid, United Earth Defense Command, she said. A hologram flickered in the center of the chamber, showing her, iron-gray hair tied back, eyes sharp enough to cut through titanium, a uniform lined with decades of authority. You killed our envoy, she said. That was a mistake. Council security fired at the projection. The hologram shimmered once, unbroken. Kincaid didn't pause. We didn't come to conquer you. We came to negotiate our place. Behind her, human fleets began to emerge from the dark spaces between moons, asteroids, and hidden wormholes. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of ships. Some sleek, angular, clearly designed for destruction. Others battered and patched, surviving decades of conflicts humans weren't supposed to have fought. All of them radiated one undeniable message: anger. The speaker raised its limbs. You dare threaten the council? No, Kincaid replied softly, almost amused. I'm informing you. The calm in her voice was worse than any roar. Then space itself bent. The dreadnought Pale Horse slipped through a fold in reality, appearing inside the council's gravity well, something no physics textbooks allowed. Weapons systems powered up, energy coiling along the hull like living serpents. Council delegates screamed. Their centuries of technological and military superiority meant nothing against a species that refused to obey expected rules. Kincaid leaned forward in the hologram. You executed an envoy. That was your message. Here is ours. Behind her, the first human weapons fired, not at ships, but at key nodes, command centers, logistics depots, communication hubs. Entire fleets began to fall apart without a single direct confrontation. Across the council's space, sleeper human assets activated. Colonists, scientists, even farmers revealed hidden arsenals. Planets previously assumed loyal were suddenly uninhabitable for council forces, not from invasion, but from withdrawal of essential support. Humanity didn't just hit hard. Humanity hit where it would hurt most. A council admiral tried to surrender. Kincaid ignored him. Instead, she broadcast a single, final message to every system. You wanted balance, she said. Here it is. The lights dimmed, the screens flickered, and council fleets realized too late. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement before anyone could comprehend the battle. Humanity wasn't just coming for revenge. Humanity was coming for recalibration. And they had already arrived. The first shot didn't strike a ship. It didn't even strike a fleet. It struck the symbol. The Council's banner moon, carved from crystallized metals and inscribed with the Empire's oldest declarations, shattered. Not exploded. Shattered, peeling apart along unnatural fault lines, cracking like a planet-sized egg under pressure that shouldn't exist. Delegates screamed. The speaker bellowed, but sound was meaningless in the face of physics being rewritten. Council fleets scrambled. Ancient warships, relics of battles older than most human civilizations, moved with all the precision of tradition and none of the desperation necessary to survive. Human ships didn't follow predictable tactics. They hunted. Strike groups dove into patrol lines with surgical precision. Weapons ignored shields that had shrugged off entire Nova-level assaults before. Alien crews died screaming, trapped inside vessels that had become tombs. Human pilots joked over open comms while performing maneuvers that should have torn them apart, laughing darkly at alien telemetry collapsing in real time. Hellbreaker 2, tally-ho, one pilot called. Copy that, another replied. Bags tagged. A council cruiser attempted to flee into hyperspace. A human corvette latched onto it with magnetic clamps. Boarding torpedoes fired. Marines in battered, patched armor poured into the corridors, weapons singing a song of death and efficiency. One Marine paused beside a wounded officer, a translation device crackling to life. You killed a diplomat, he said conversationally, cocking his rifle. On my planet, that's how you start a forever war. He fired. Across Council space, hidden human colonies revealed themselves. Engineers, farmers, even bartenders became soldiers overnight. Trade hubs, energy grids, and water purifiers ceased operation. Planets loyal to the Council collapsed in days, not from invasion, but from humanity's calculated withdrawal. Civilization without supply lines is chaos. Humanity knew it, exploited it, and grinned as their enemies fell apart. The speaker, frantic now, tried to coordinate counterattacks. Deploy the entire armada! Concentrate fire on! A human dreadnought emerged inside the main gravity well, cutting off all communication lines. Its weapon systems were silent, for now. Kincaid's hologram returned calm, lethal. You wanted to send a message by killing a man, she said. Here is ours. Then came the crushing twist. Humanity did not exterminate the Council. They erased it. Weapons fired, not at lives, but at information, archives, genetic vaults, historical databases. Millennia of accumulated power structures, military codes, and genetic lines were obliterated in minutes. Civilization had survived, but leadership, structure, and legacy, gone. The galaxy's oldest empires were leaderless, fractured, and terrified. Council delegates, staring at the flickering devastation, realized the true horror. Humans didn't just fight. Humans anticipated, adapted, and delivered consequences tailored to every conceivable weakness. Ships that attempted to flee were stopped. Diplomatic envoys that arrived too late were intercepted and neutralized. No mercy. No hesitation. No theatrics. Pure, cold efficiency wrapped in human cunning. Kincaid's hologram smiled faintly. This is not conquest. This is accountability. Every system you lost, every action you took against us, every diplomat you executed, we measured it, and we responded in kind. Silence fell across the Council's shattered chambers. Even the speaker, a creature of centuries and untold battles, trembled. Behind Kincaid, a single transmission looped across all systems. Humanity does not forgive, and it certainly does not forget. Misjudge us again, and there will be no envoys left to execute. No systems left to negotiate over. Only consequences. Then, as abruptly as it began, the assault ceased. Human fleets withdrew, slipping back into dark spaces between stars. The dreadnought powered down. Colonies returned to normal operations. Trade routes reopened. It was as if humanity had merely tapped a finger on the galaxy's spine, and reminded it of how fragile power really was. Kincaid leaned back in her chair. The galaxy had screamed in terror, and yet she allowed herself the smallest, faintest smile. Humanity hadn't needed to destroy everything to prove their point. They had reminded the universe that Earth, long underestimated, was untouchable in its unpredictability. The Council survived, but as an institution, it would never be the same. And humanity? Humanity had made it very clear that diplomacy had its limits. And when those limits were crossed, the galaxy learned the hard way: you never underestimate the human species. 5 years later, Ambassador Lena Crow stepped into the rebuilt chamber of the Galactic Council. This time, the gravity was human normal. The pulsing floor, once a reminder of alien intimidation, now felt innocuous. The chamber smelled of recycled air and burned ozone, a subtle but unmistakable mark of humanity's reconstruction. The Council waited, smaller now, humbler. Generations of leaders had been lost. Armadas dismantled. Trade networks fractured. Ancient empires had survived, but their arrogance had been stripped away with surgical precision. Lena adjusted her jacket, the daughter of Elias Crow, the envoy executed in cold council calculation. Same sharp eyes. Same sly smile. A memory of a father who had taught her that humans survived by refusing to die quietly. We've reviewed your proposal, said the new speaker, voice cautious, measured. Shared governance. Mutual defense. No executions of envoys. No hidden weapon stockpiles. Lena's smile was faint, controlled. Good start. An aide leaned in, whispering, They're terrified of us. They should be, Lena said softly. But they're also exhausted. She stood, letting her presence fill the chamber. Humans had a knack for that, filling a room without speaking, shaping events by sheer presence alone. My father believed in talking first, she said. And so do we. But understand this. Her gaze swept across the alien delegates, each one smaller now, not in body, but in confidence. Peace, she continued, is not the absence of violence. Peace is the presence of consequences. The room fell silent. Not a single voice dared interrupt. Every species present understood the weight behind those words. Break this treaty, Lena finished, her tone low, lethal, precise. And there will be no envoys left to deliver warnings. She turned and walked out. Each step echoed in the chamber like the final drumbeat of a long-forgotten war. Outside, beyond the chamber, the galaxy exhaled, but not in relief. In fear. In respect. In awe. Humanity hadn't just survived. Humanity had reminded the universe of a truth too often ignored. To underestimate humans was to invite annihilation. And yet, for all the terror and precision, humanity offered a hand. A hand that could heal, trade, and ally, but also crush, without hesitation, any who misjudged it again. The galaxy now knew, when humans speak, empires listen. And when humans act, even the stars themselves tremble.